Global Banking and Finance Review is a leading brand name in the world of finance and banking. Their awards were created to recognize companies of all sizes that are prominent in particular areas of expertise and excellence within the global financial community. This time we're proud to offer EcoBank of Nigeria an award for Best Corporate Bank Nigeria 2015. EcoBank is Pan-African and is based in 36 African countries. It's the leading independent regional banking group in West and Central Africa and has a network of international offices in Paris, Beijing, Dubai and London. EcoBank aims to contribute to the economic and financial integration of Africa and the sustainable development of the continent through the provision of innovative financial products and modern initiatives. EcoBank believes it has a responsibility to be socially relevant to the communities it serves. Africa is a changing and challenging continent, especially in EcoBank's base, Nigeria, where the recent national election could bring about changes to the financial lifestyle of many. Ms. Faluke Abuderen, Executive Director, came to London to receive the award from Global Banking and Finance Review's Noel O'Leary and Jessica McMannigan. Later, she spoke to me about the future of banking in Africa. Well, welcome, Ms. Abuderen, to our interview today. It's really lovely to have you here in London, and congratulations on winning the award as well.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you. It's nice to be here, and it's nice to have won the award.
Lovely. Well, let's perhaps find out a little bit more about EcoBank, if we may now. And obviously, let's be topical. At the time of recording, we've just had a very important election in Nigeria. How do you see that affecting the banking sector going forward?
Before the election, and also because there was some delay, the election was supposed to take place on the 14th of February, but it was delayed till March 28th. I believe a lot of investors were worried that the election would have a problem and would not go on very well, as a result of which Nigeria was downgraded by the major rating agencies, and a lot of the investors that would have invested in Nigeria more or less suspended the investment till the outcome of the election. I understand about $8 billion worth of portfolio investments actually left Nigeria on account of the elections and also on account of the falling price of oil. So now that the elections are over, successful, I believe a lot of the foreign direct investments would come back to Nigeria, and business will go on as usual.
So are you optimistic that the stability that hopefully the new government will bring could actually improve the situation for you going forward?
Oh, certainly, because this is the first time in the history of Nigeria that we would have such a successful transition from one party to another, and also the fact that Nigerians now know that their votes count. Before now, there used to be a lot of election irregularities. So it was a very, very powerful message that was sent, and it just showed that democracy is at work in Nigeria, would hopefully have political stability. I think one of the first things the new government is going to focus on is security, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, the northeastern part of Nigeria. I believe 3 states out of the 36 states in Nigeria have been affected by Boko Haram. This new government would have to spend a lot of time and also resources to ensure that security returns to that part of the country, and as such continue to attract investments into the country. The other area which I believe this government, the new government, is going to focus on is also corruption. These are things that I believe Nigerians wanted a change, and which is why they voted for a change. They would also have to look at the economy in view of the fact that oil, which is the largest revenue earner for the country, is, had some issues. The price of oil has fallen, and so a lot of economic reforms have to take place so that the Nigerians would realize that indeed, change has come to the country.
It's obvious, isn't it, that politics affect the financial sector a great deal. What would you see would be the opportunities and challenges now facing EcoBank and indeed the corporate banking sector in Nigeria?
For some time now, infrastructure has been a challenge for us in Nigeria. Power is a major problem. Roads, bridges, major problem. Ports as well. It's estimated that Nigeria needs about $10 billion every year for the next 10 years to catch up in terms of its infrastructural deficit. Now, that in itself, which is a challenge, poses opportunities, of course. Opportunities for us to finance some of these projects for the country. Now, in doing that, we need long-term funding, especially in foreign currency, because a lot of these transactions would require foreign currency typically. So the challenges represent opportunities for us as a bank and the entire banking industry, but we have to be able to source long-term dollar funding to finance these transactions.
And of course, as a bank, you are a Pan-African, you're not purely based in Nigeria. What would you see are the main drivers for African trade and African growth?
Okay. EcoBank indeed is a Pan-African bank. It's the bank with the largest footprints in Africa in the world. We're in 36 countries in Africa, and we also have a branch in Paris, France, which is good because it allows us to leverage on that network to provide banking services and development in the rest of Africa. EcoBank has been able to come out with a lot of products, regional products to facilitate trade and services within Africa. I think I can, if you allow me, I can actually divide the type of trade that you have in Africa into two. First of all, you have the informal market or the informal trade, which is quite large. The informal trade, I believe, accounts for about 40% of the trade. So you find a lot of people, goods traveling across the various borders, and these things are done informally. And then you have the formal trade, where it tends to be documentary. Either LCs are opened or bills are avalized. And that again, also you have the oil and the non-oil. So a country like Nigeria, that is the largest producer of oil in Africa, exports oil to a number of African countries. EcoBank Nigeria is one of the banks that does a lot of the documentary trade financing for the export of oil across Africa. You also have a lot of goods, non-oil goods like, detergents. Unilever, for example, exports from Nigeria into ECOWAS countries and vice versa. So you see a lot of that going on within Africa, and of course, EcoBank is best suited to ensure that the trade is facilitated across Africa. What you have various economic and regional blocks in Africa. You have what you call the UMOA, you have WAMS, you have EAC in East Africa, you have SADC in Southern Africa. What essentially should happen is that all those trading blocks should actually integrate as one country, because you see the East African bloc kind of like trading with each other, Southern African area trading amongst themselves. But what EcoBank is doing in having affiliates in 36 countries is to ensure that we integrate the trade, formal trade, and also bring the informal into the formal sector all across Africa.
I see what you mean. So you're trying to bring together the various diverse groups into a cohesive operation, really. Is that
correct?
The best way of summing it up?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct. You see a lot of. You also see a lot of, say, Nigerian corporates like Dangote going outside Nigeria, and they're in 19 countries setting up cement factories and grinding plants and the like. And what EcoBank does is to ensure that we finance them everywhere in Africa that they're in, so that in that way it helps develop the whole of Africa.
Let's look at the requirements of your actual customers in the corporate sector. Presumably they have requirements. What kind of innovative products have you been able to introduce to actually give them the sort of services they're looking for?
Okay, we've been able to provide regional trade financing. We avalize the bills. We are able to link the importer and the exporter, because the exporter would be a customer of EcoBank in one geography, and the importer will be that of EcoBank in another geography. So we've been able to provide them regional trade finance products such that, and because we know them, in those two geographies, we've been able to facilitate trade there. We've also been able to provide what we call the regional card, which means that any customer of the bank that is traveling within Africa can just slot in the card into an ATM and obtain local currency in this country as a means of facilitating small payments within those countries. Also, we have what we call the rapid transfer, which enables you have a local currency and you receive the local currency in the other country. So again, subject to a maximum of $10,000. This again also facilitates payments, small time payments within Africa. Plus, for the corporate customers, we also have our electronic banking product, which is called Omni. And with that, it enables you, the treasurer of a lot of the corporate customers, have an oversight on the accounts all over Africa. So, for example, if you're CFAO or you're Unilever and there's a regional treasurer in, say, Côte d'Ivoire, you can see all your account balances in the various EcoBank affiliates just by using the system. It also enables the transfer of funds subject to regulatory limits from one country to the other.
So a lot of clever technology being used there. I'd like to perhaps ask you more now also about the financing solutions for your clients, the sort of services you provide for clients to help them with their financial challenges.
Okay, EcoBank Nigeria has done very well in terms of providing long-term funding for a lot of our customers in the telecommunications, in the power, in the oil and gas sectors, and agricultural sector of Nigeria. So what we do, we provide both local currency and foreign currency facilities to these customers, which can be in the form of project finance, it can be in the form of syndicated facilities, it can be in the form of working capital. And we have also been able to tap into certain funds which the Central Bank of Nigeria has in terms of concessionary funding for a lot of the manufacturers and also the power sector and airline sector of Nigeria. So our balance sheet is quite robust in Nigeria. Out of the 24 banks in Nigeria, EcoBank is number 6. And this is largely because we have been able to provide financing to a lot of the corporate and retail customers of the bank.
Quite a competitive situation there. You mentioned 24 banks in Nigeria, and like everywhere, telecommunications, which you mentioned a moment ago, and indeed development of IT has become very significant. What kind of technical innovations have you been able to introduce to make your services more streamlined?
Telecommunications in Nigeria came in over 10 years ago through the licensing of GSM companies, and it has taken off such that I believe the teledensity in Nigeria is now about over 90%. There are more Nigerians with telephones. I believe there are over 130 million subscribers in Nigeria, and we have fewer bank accounts. So what the Central Bank of Nigeria has done is that it has actually encouraged a lot of the Nigerian banks, including EcoBank Nigeria, to actually start mobile banking services such that you can bring in the unbanked into the banking, the financial sector. So that's one of the things. We're very, very active in terms of mobile banking in Nigeria. And we have a very robust IT platform, which is shared by the entire group through EcoBank Group. We use FlexCube version 7, and this has been upgraded very soon to FlexCube version 12. We realize that telecommunications is going to be the area of play, going forward. We see that a lot of the younger generation actually use telephones to make payments and to make a lot of their transactions. So we are in the forefront of ensuring that we have products and services that actually play to the younger generation, either using the Facebook, using Twitter, to ensure that we're able to catch the younger generation, who would be the future generation of the country.
That wonderful world of social networking, of course, and how that can be integrated within the banking operation.
Yes.
And indeed, talking about the social situation, the social economic development, what does EcoBank do to actually help that development within Nigeria?
EcoBank Group has EcoBank Foundation. 1% of the profits of EcoBank Foundation, of EcoBank Group, the banks, also go into the EcoBank Foundation to support CSR activities within Africa, not just Nigeria. As it is, we've actually financed over 28 projects all over Africa in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of capacity building, literacy, HIV, those sort of things. Very recently, EcoBank Nigeria actually partnered with the Global Fund to support the principal recipients of the fund in terms of capacity building, so that they know how to prepare the books, and as such, it helps in terms of the rollback malaria project, which the Global Fund has instituted into Nigeria.
Well, obviously exciting times ahead. Thank you so much indeed for coming to London, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much, Philip. Thank you. We appreciate the award. Thank you very much.
The banking sector going forward?
Before the election, and also because there was some delay, the election was supposed to take place on the 14th of February, but it was delayed till March 28th. I believe a lot of investors were worried that the election would have a problem and would not go on very well, as a result of which Nigeria was downgraded by the major rating agencies, and a lot of the investors that would have invested in Nigeria more or less suspended the investment till
international offices in Paris, Beijing, Dubai and London. EcoBank aims to contribute to the economic and financial integration of Africa and the sustainable development of the continent through the provision of innovative financial products and modern initiatives. EcoBank believes it has a responsibility to be socially relevant to the communities it serves. Africa is a changing and challenging continent, especially in EcoBank's base, Nigeria, where the recent national election could bring about changes to the financial lifestyle of many. Ms. Faluke Abuderen, Executive Director, came to London to receive the award from Global Banking and Finance Review's Noel O'Leary and Jessica McMannigan. Later, she spoke to me about the future of banking in Africa.
Well, welcome, Ms. Abuderen, to our interview today. It's really lovely to have you here in London, and congratulations on winning the award as well.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you. It's nice to be here, and it's nice to have won the award.
Lovely. Well, let's perhaps find out a little bit more about EcoBank, if we may now. And obviously, let's be topical. At the time of recording, we've just had a very important election in Nigeria. How do you see that affect
the outcome of the election? I understand about $8 billion worth of portfolio investments actually left Nigeria on account of the elections and also on account of the falling price of oil. So now that the elections are over, successful, I believe a lot of the foreign direct investments would come back to Nigeria, and business will go on as usual.
So are you optimistic that the stability that hopefully the new government will bring could actually improve the situation for you going forward?
Oh, certainly, because this is the first time.
Global Banking and Finance Review is a leading brand name in the world of finance and banking. Their awards were created to recognize companies of all sizes that are prominent in particular areas of expertise and excellence within the global financial community. This time we're proud to offer EcoBank of Nigeria an award for Best Corporate Bank Nigeria 2015. EcoBank is Pan-African and is based in 36 African countries. It's the leading independent regional banking group in West and Central Africa and has a network of